Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio, and today, I am delighted, because I have brought you winning deck lists from 5 of the 6 Tag Team GXs, which have currently been released. I've shown you a winning deck for Pikachu and Zekrom, for Celebi and Venusaur, even for Latios and Latias the other day. Oh, that one took its time. Although it's actually Latias and Latios, I should say. And, of course, Mimikyu and Gengar, and Magikarp and Wailord. I have not shown you a winning deck list for Eevee and Snorlax Tag Team GX. Ladies and gentlemen, today I write that wrong. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. When was the last time that you saw all the GXs in a set featured in winning decks within the first few weeks of a set being released? And I know that some of these tournaments in Japan are probably fairly small, but they're still competitive tournaments with competitive players. These are still good players with good lists. And now, no matter which of these Tag Team GXs you want to play, you can find a list on this channel that you can start testing with. I'm a little bit proud of that. So Eevee and Snorlax then. Well, it's a big boy, 270 HP, that's pretty beefy. The first attack lets you accelerate an energy, we couldn't care less, it's pretty terrible. However, we do have the main attack here, 4 colorless energy, 120. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, you do 240. So you might need something else against basic Pokemon, but against evolved Pokemon, this gone smash. Then the GX attack, 4 colorless energy, 210. If you've got a 5th energy, draw until you've got 10 cards in hand. So the question becomes then, how are we going to get the energy on here? And the way this deck has largely chosen to is Kiawe. I know, right? Kiawe's one of those great cards that essentially just accelerates energy onto anything, as long as you don't mind it being fire energy. Search your deck for 4 fire energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Now, it does end your turn, which is a problem. And as I always say with things like this, if you accelerate energy and then end your turn, your opponent can always Guzma and have a hit on whatever it is you've accelerated energy to. Having said that, come on. It's got 270 HP. You'll probably be able to take a hit. Although having said that, you do give up free prizes, so you do have to be just a little bit careful here, because even if they're 2-hit KOing you, 2-hit KOing for free prizes, that's not too bad, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there are a couple of other things we need in order to keep the energy or get the energy onto Snorlax, and one of them is Wishful Baton. You see, Wishful Baton is lovely in any deck where you've got lots of energy on the field, but you're struggling to accelerate it, and you really just want to keep it on the field. Well, that's this deck all over. Kiawe's great for turn 1, turn 2 energy acceleration, but then you don't really want to use it in the mid-game because of the whole ending your turn thing. So Wishful Baton says that when it's attached to a Pokemon that gets KO'd by damage from one of your opponent's attacks, you get to take 3 of those basic energy and put them onto one of your benched Pokemon. Which is pretty convenient, because then you attach one from your hand, and that's another Eevee and Snorlax ready to go. But we've also got Reshiram Gx here, and this is what I've been saying since I first saw Reshiram Gx. I adore Reshiram's GX attack here. I generally use it over Snorlax's. I know it's Eevee and Snorlax, but I'm a Snorlax dude, so Snorlax's. 4 energy, 180 damage, and you may attach up to 5 energy from your hand, fire energy, to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So you can essentially get 3 energy on one Snorlax, 2 on another, and have one that just needs an energy from your hand and one that needs 2 over the course of the next couple of turns. I would generally rather try and use Kiawe onto Reshiram. You'll probably get a KO on a GX, or at least a KO on something, and then you get to accelerate energy onto Snorlax. That sounds A-OK by me. I really don't like Reshiram's other attacks, so I'm not even going to talk about them. Taboo Lele, we're playing a bunch of Taboo Lele for Taboo Lele because you need to be able to find that Kiawe. You cannot miss the turn 1 Kiawe and then use it turn 2, giving your opponent an extra turn before you're doing anything meaningful. That is not a viable option. If you do that, you end up losing the game. You need your Taboo Lele here. But weirdly enough, we also see a free Salazizzle line. I know, right? Salazizzle. Now, it is the GX, and this is a GX that's seen weirdly large amounts of play. And for 2 energy, 50 damage for each prize card you have taken, or 110. You can use 2 energy, discard all your opponent's energy from their active Pokemon, but I don't think that's a GX attack we want to be choosing here. And essentially what you do in the early game, you can just ignore it, or do 110 if you're desperate, especially if you're hitting for weakness. But then in the mid to late game, when you've taken a few prizes with Snorlax, 4 energy's a lot. So getting 2 energy on this is going to be far easier, so this becomes a decent attacker. We also see 1 copy of Marshadow. It's for the ability here. It makes both players shuffle the hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. But if you've got a really good setup with a Snorlax that's hitting for 240 a turn, and your opponent doesn't, then you make both players take a new hand of 4 cards, except they need to set up and you don't need to set up. I mean, a lot of the time, a turn 1 Kiawe and a turn 2 Marshadow can just mean that you're rolling and your opponent is really struggling to get much of anything done. That's hilarious. And once again, we see 1 copy of Onyx. This is the one that for 4 colourless energy does 120. It looks underwhelming until you realise that it hits weakness on Zoroark for an easy 1-hit KO of a non-GX Pokemon. And Pikachu and Zekrom will get 1-hit KO'd by this. And it will KO an Eevee and Snorlax, except you need a Choice Band, and this deck is not playing Choice Band. We don't want Choice Band. We've got Wishful Baton. Wishful Baton is what we're playing here. So no Choice Band here. And honestly, the trainer line here is very straightforward. There aren't that many different trainers we're playing. Obviously, Wishful Baton, 2 of those, we've already talked about that. Obviously, Kiawe, 3 of those, we've already talked about that. And given that it is a fire deck, it shouldn't surprise you to know that we are playing Heat Factory Prism Star. Now, this is not the best of the Prism Star stadiums, if I'm honest with you. It's really not amazing. Thing is, it lets you discard a fire energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. It's a really fun draw. It's not amazing, but if you're playing a fire deck, you really should be playing one of these. We see a full 4 copies of Guzma. Why 4 copies of Guzma? Because you can smash evolved Pokemon but not basics with Eevee and Snorlax. Because Salazizzle's often going to be hitting kind of 150 damage or 110. It's not always going to hit quite as much as you might like. So what you do here is you give yourself the ability to just drag stuff up and smash it. The other thing is, and we're going to see this, there's almost no draw in this deck whatsoever. Because you don't need to draw cards. What you need is to get your Eevee and Snorlax with 4 energy on and start smashing. Which means you can use Guzma on more turns than you would in other decks. And Guzma's amazing because you get to pick what you're attacking. That's fairly easy. Now, although we don't play much draw, there are literally 2 draw cards, right? There is 1 Titanizer, which is a shuffle draw card which also acts as a switch. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5, or it's a switch. And there's a single copy of Sophocles, which lets you discard 2 cards from your hand and then draw 4 cards. Cool. It's alright. It's pure draw. It means you don't have to shuffle your hand into your deck, you just draw. They're the only draw cards we have here. In terms of supporters, but we do see 4 copies of Acrobike. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put 1 in your hand and 1 in your discard pile. It gives you that little bit of extra speed. But like I say, we are very light on draw cards here. But what we do have is Pokemon Search. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, which can search out any of your Pokemon. 4 copies of Nest Ball, which can get all of your basics, but remember you can't use it to get Taboo Lele because then you don't get the ability, and 4 copies of Mysterious Treasure, which searches out your Taboo Lele because remember quite how important it is in order to get that turn 1 Kiawe. Incidentally, there is a Psychic Salandit here, which we do play so that we can grab it with Mysterious Treasure. And that's the deck. It's a weird kind of trainer line, because we're playing 2 draw supporters and that's it. But we don't really need draw supporters, we need Kiawe, and we got 3 of them, plus 4 Taboo Lele, plus 4 Ultra Ball, plus 4 Mysterious Treasure, and this isn't a deck where you're drawing lots of cards and setting up and all that rubbish. This is a deck where you want to get Kiawe, and then a couple of Guzma, with an Eevee and Snorlax out. There are many games with this deck where you'll literally go turn 1 Kiawe, turn 2 KO, turn 3 KO, turn 4 I win the game. Because you're just smashing through Pokemon really quickly. Yes, you've got Salazzle there, which can really help, and can slow the game down a little bit. Take some prize with a 2 prize attacker, and there are a couple other Pokemon you can use here, but sometimes all you need is just Kiawe onto an Eevee and a Snorlax, drop a Marshadow, sit and chuckle. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the deck. I think it's kind of cool. And I'm kind of happy that I've now shown you all 6 of the Tag Team GXs winning. But I want to know what you think. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the most important rule as always. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.